Music brackets. It's Kyky's music brackets with Andy too.
All right.
All
We
right.
are we are back. Um the show has a name now. Um Welcome to Kai's Music Brackets with Andy too.
With Andy too. And Andy too. With Andy too.
I don't know.
I think the title, the um like title slide and the song say different things, so it's kind of in limbo. But
Nice.
so
um
that's the level of quality you expect.
exactly. Well, welcome back to the show. For the This is our second episode. If you missed the first one, basically Kyle and I have made a bracket of Rush's entire studio discography. It was like what, 163 songs, something like that.
Yeah, definitely around 160.
Yeah. And so we've narrowed it down to the round of 32. Um we recorded the round of 64 last episode, so if you want to check that out, go ahead if you want to get caught up. But yeah, I think we're pretty much just going to jump into it, into the round of 32. So Kyle, you want to give a little recap?
Yeah, so if you missed it, basically we sorted all these songs by their Spotify plays and basically gave them a seed and put them into 8 different little divisions here. And so we're getting down to the divisional, semifinals, finals, and the champions will go on to the final of all of the divisions. This is our first division. We'll just kind of go through each one. Uh, this one started with a play-in tournament. If you're interested, these are the songs that made it through. We did that through text with each other. And then we also did the round of 132, texting each other, and got to here. And then last podcast, we narrowed it down to we did our round of 64 through text, and now we narrowed it down to a round of 32. And yeah, we're starting off with Tom Sawyer versus A Farewell to Kings. Last time I just kind of gave numbers of how I felt about these songs. This time I took a little bit more detailed notes, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this first matchup here.
Yeah. Um I mean, these are both really good songs. They both Tom Sawyer starts off moving pictures again, right? I'm noticing a theme. There's like a lot of album openers, like very strong album openers. That's kind of
Yeah,
interesting. I mean, you know, I it's Tom Sawyer, right? I mean, like it's Tom Sawyer. I don't know. I think what I put down in my notes was like, I don't know exactly what's going to bring Tom Sawyer down, if something brings Tom Sawyer down, but I don't think it's going to be Farewell to Kings. This is
yeah.
the time to kind of be be kind of harsh with the cuts. So yeah, I think it's Tom Sawyer for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's funny you mentioned the that we have a lot of openers. I actually want to do a study at the end of this to see how many openers made it to each round, how many finales made it to each round, because I personally
Yeah.
feel like Rush records in general start off stronger than they end, but I think there are a couple of exceptions to that. So I'd be interested to actually apply numbers to that. But yeah, Tom Sawyer, I feel like it has a lot of an aura around it because it had probably the largest cultural impact of any Rush song. And, it's the song they play in South Park. It's the song you're most likely to hear on the radio. It's just uh kind of goes beyond Rush in some ways. But every time I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, like this is that good. It's like that good of a song. And it lives up to the hype, in my opinion. And I think I have a
Yeah.
couple songs in here that I could see beating it. But it's not A Farewell to Kings. Still very solid song and a really good opener, and opens up my personal favorite album. But I wouldn't say it's even a standout on the album of Farewell to Kings, it's just like a really solid intro.
Yeah. Um, I'm because I know we'll probably finish out the bracket today, right?
Yeah,
So,
I hope so.
um, I think I'll save some of my deeper Tom Sawyer like thoughts or observations for like because we'll talk about it again. So,
Yeah,
um, I guess like I'll try to focus more on the songs that like if I have something to say, I'll say something about something that we're passing on, because it'll be the last thing we'll say. Yeah, the one thing I'll say about Farewell to Kings was that I was bummed that I couldn't just listen. And this is kind of a theme for the whole going through the playlist that we made of the top 32, and I was listening to all the songs. And I was bummed that, I'm used to the next song coming on the album. And then I was kind of bummed that like, oh, I'm not like I can't listen to the whole album all the way through. Um,
yeah, yeah. I
but
was definitely thinking, oh, go
there was
for
one
it.
time when the next song did come on. It was we'll get there, but I was like, "Oh, whoa, this is weird." Like but yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking like, hey, I should listen to the rest of discography all the way through again.
Yeah.
So, if you think that we're forcing ourselves to do this, we are not. We just really like Rush. So
Yeah.
it's it's a pleasure every time.
Definitely.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
definitely took more extensive notes on the songs that I thought we were gonna pass on.
Mhm.
So our next matchup is Xanadu versus Subdivisions, which was definitely a tough one for me.
This one is very tough. I have my pick. What I will say is I am wearing my Signals shirt. I think
Nice.
I think I got it at Walmart. Um, and part of the reason why I'm wearing this shirt is because I think that Signals didn't have it had surprisingly little representation, I think, in the round of 32.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe had two songs. Yeah.
yeah, which is surprising because I think you lump in Signals with like, oh, that was like their run of like, when they were at their peak, wherever if some people could say that. I don't know if I would say that per se, but so I thought that was interesting. And yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's Xanadu. I think
Yeah.
Subdivisions is an absolute essential Rush song. You could show that to anybody, and I think it has a broad appeal. Um, and I think it's such a catchy. It's got such a good chorus, but like Xanadu is like just so epic and so freaking cool. It's such a good song.
Yeah.
Um,
I think,
I don't know.
yeah, Xanadu was definitely my favorite Rush song as a kid, if I remember. And I kind of grew into other things like Red Barchetta and stuff. But Subdivisions, I feel like my dad didn't listen to a lot of signals, but I like found it. And I was like, whoa, this is a really good song. Also, I think Subdivisions, yeah, I was listening to it and I was like, this isn't hitting me as hard as Xanadu, but one thing I will say about it is I think as far as like live songs go, when they start hitting like the Subdivision synth, like that is like probably the
Uh,
best like live, one of the best live Rush songs, I would say. If you're just like
yeah.
you're not
Uh,
expecting it and all of a sudden they just start playing that, I think that would I honestly have to go back and check if they played it when I saw them. I feel like they probably did, um but it was a long time ago and I didn't necessarily know all the songs as well back then. Uh but I'm just like thinking about that, and whenever I'm listening to this song, I'm like, I want to just blast the bass as much as possible. I want to hear that synth bass because
yeah.
that's my favorite instrument, by the way, is the synth bass specifically. It just nothing hits harder for me. But yeah, Xanadu,
Nice.
it's so good. I'll have more notes on it in the next couple of rounds, but I do think it takes this one.
Okay, so we're in agreement. I had a
Yeah,
feeling that you would also want to put Xanadu up there. I don't know.
it
God,
was tough. It was tough. I think
it's
Subdivisions
not an easy choice.
is probably worthy of a round of 16. but I think it had a really tough matchup. But I don't know if I'd put it higher than that. So so
Yeah.
I'm okay with this choice.
Yeah, and I think this is a good display of like what makes the brackets like fun. I think it's more fun to me than just ranking because you get
Yeah.
interesting results like this where like I think subdivisions would be like in a top 16 if we were just to rank them, but like the just the arbitrary matchups in the bracket are are kind of fun to see what rises to the top.
Yeah. Like I feel like some songs just get a really bad matchup and you're like, well, that's like a top, 8 or top 4 song for me, but it didn't make it past the round of 64 because of its seeding. But you know, we didn't decide the seeding, right? That was Spotify. It was listeners like you. So if
Yeah,
you really wanted a song to have a better matchup, you should have listened to it more, is all I'm saying.
yeah, it's
You
your
should have
fault.
listened to it millions of times. Um, okay. So the next division is rock. These were the play-in tournament songs. We had our round of 132, round of 64, and now we're down to um these songs. So our first matchup here is Limelight versus Middletown Dreams. Um, which was an interesting one. They're not that far apart in era, but I feel like Limelight is a much more well-known song. I think it's their second most streamed song and probably their second most famous one as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think Power Windows, like really listening over these songs and trying to be critical, listen to it with a critical ear to like make cuts kind of is kind of a different way to listen to a song. And I think I have this new appreciation. I already loved Power Windows, but like there's so much going on like production wise, with all the synths and all the instruments. Like it is crazy how huge all these songs sound, and there's so much going on versus I think a lot of the earlier stuff. And I was talking on the last episode about how moving pictures is kind of to me like a Goldilocks era between the synths and the kind of earlier work. um and like but still I think moving pictures has a very sophisticated like sound. But like right next to Power Windows, I'm like, wow, like Limelight and like these songs, they almost sound a little more like stripped down and bare as compared to like some of these Power
Mm,
Windows songs. Like they just sound so lush, and like there's so many more instruments than just Getty's bass, Alex's guitar, and Neil's drumming, which is that's really cool. And it's why I love Power Windows so much. Um, but that said, I don't think any one song, I think I love it just on a whole as a work, like as an album. And that's the other tough thing with this bracket. I think there will be a bias to songs that like really transcended just their spot on that album. I think Limelight is one of those songs that really like transcends moving pictures. It is one of my favorite Rush songs, and it has. I think I'll say it. I think it might have my favorite guitar solo in any Rush song. The Limelight solo is such a just a change of pace. It's like the scene
mm,
changes, that it's like the third act begins of the song. Like it really has this powerful effect, and it is like just so emotive. Um Very emotional sounding solo. Um and it just blows my mind. And when I was listening to it, I was actually, this is going to sound so nerdy, but I was getting chills listening to Limelight, going through the playlist, getting ready for this. So Limelight's my pick, for now. But I wonder
yeah.
what you, I want to know what you think about it.
No, I think Limelight's the obvious pick. I think I kind of like listening to these two songs together. I noticed something in that they're both actually fairly straightforward in terms of song structure. Like both of them
Mhm.
are pretty much verse, chorus, bridge slash solo, chorus.
Yeah.
Um, which was interesting that they got paired together. I feel like most of Rush's earlier work is not like that. A lot of their like 80s, 90s songs are, well, especially 80s songs are pretty much just like more straightforward in terms of their actual song structure themselves. Um, and I just feel like Limelight does it better, and it has like slightly better riffs, slightly better verses, slightly better, well, very good chorus and great solo, as you said. Middletown Dreams definitely is good in all of those categories, and I think the production is also very fun, and like I definitely like the direction they went into with that album. I love everything they're doing, but like Limelight, I feel like is their most um like immaculate pop song almost. Like I feel like
Mhm.
they just like we're gonna make a hit, and we're just like we're not gonna do any of the weird stuff we've done with other songs. We're just gonna make like a straightforward song, and it's still like plenty weird because they can't help it. Um,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that I think it just like listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this is actually like just a like rock song. Like this is like a straightforward. Um, there's definitely weird things about it, but um, yeah, I was thinking it might be their most like poppy song across their discography.
Yeah.
But I think
It's
it
up there.
definitely wins because it's very well executed.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
So next we have New World Man versus Red Barchetta, which it's another tough one for me because I really like both of these songs.
This is a tough one for me too. Um, I kind of want to let you go first because I feel like you mentioned Red Barchetta as being one of your favorites, so I think you have more of a dog in this fight than I do. I feel pretty similarly about both songs, so I wonder where you went with this.
Yeah, I think, these are both very high up on my personal favorites list. I think they both are just like very fun journeys from beginning to end. Um, New World Man is like full of energy. I like the like kind of like soaring guitars that come in when he's like singing the like New World Man. Like that part's really great. The kind of like reggae influence on it is interesting. Like there's like a little bit of that. It's a fair amount of that in their 80s stuff. Um, but yeah, for me, Red Bear Shed is a very unique and singular feeling. It's very nostalgic for me, but I feel like the song itself is like capturing nostalgia in a way. And
Mm,
so it's not even that I have a personal connection with this, but it's about like it's about, I mean, I guess it's Neil Peart singing about his personal connection to this car and his childhood and like his experiences. And I honestly don't even know what like the background is there, like as far as how much of it is really about him or how much is kind of imagined, but I assume it's real. And I just feel like it's a very even as a kid, I feel like I got the vibe of the song, and I got that it was like about nostalgia and about kind of reminiscing and reminiscing about your childhood. And I feel like there are a lot of songs that capture that, but this one um, does it in a very unique way, and it always was a standout for me. I feel like it doesn't even really have like a clear chorus, but it just all the riffs, all the like lyrical, all the vocal parts are very catchy throughout the whole thing, so it doesn't even really need one.
hmm
So yeah, that's why it's my personal favorite. I just feel like it gives me something that I don't really get anywhere else, and it always stood out as like a little kind of gem in Russia's catalog that I feel like is, I wouldn't say underappreciated, but kind of I enjoy having as a personal favorite. But again, like it's personal favorite doesn't necessarily mean it's their best. Um, and I would understand going a different direction. But between these two, I would personally put it ahead. Um, but I wouldn't protest New World Man because I also really like that song.
Yeah, I don't really have a strong lean. I think Red Barchetta, like you said, it doesn't really have like an obvious chorus, which makes it interesting. And it makes it like in a bracket style challenge when it goes up against like definitely like a poppier song. It's an interesting like comparison. Um, this is when the bracket's tough because like I don't really think one's better than the other. I think they're both really good.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I can live with going with Red Barchetta for all the things you said. I also really like they do this thing sometimes where they make sound effects with like doing dive bombs and like different sounds on their guitar. And I thought that was really cool. And they do it in Bytor as well. And I don't know, it's just like kind of silly and fun and kind of creative. They get some cool sounds too, like because they're trying to I guess emulate like a car's engine revving or something. But yeah, that's cool. New World Man is such a hit though. Like it's such a earworm, you know. But I can definitely see um Red Barchetta. I mean, this is just like pick your poison. Like I truly don't like one over the other. This is one of the closest ones it is for me.
Yeah, it's very close. Um, yeah. But I'm gonna push through. I'll let my personal favorite win this one.
That's fine.
Just you gotta have some reason to pick it at some point, so it's good as any. So
It's gonna get
um
ugly. It's gonna get ugly.
yeah, I'm looking at these matchups.
Woo.
But yeah, this is Pop Division. Here were the play-in winners. Um, and I think one of them has actually made it all the way to the round of 32, so it much overperformed its seeding. And so here's our 64, and now we're down to the Spirit of the Radio versus Prime Mover. And I I really like both these songs, but I feel like one of them is a clear winner in my eyes and a possible favorite for Final Four. So I'd be interested to hear if you feel the same way.
Yeah. Um I if actually if I may introduce some pedantry, I believe the title of the song is The Spirit of Radio. I think it's a
Are
common
you sure?
mistake. I'm almost positive.
I
Um
I copied these from Spotify, so
I think it's The Spirit of Radio.
can you look that up?
Yeah. It's The Spirit of Radio.
Wow.
Um doesn't that like fuck with your head?
What,
I remember the day where I was like, "Wait, what?"
where does it say that on like the original album? I swear on Spotify it says Spirit of the Radio,
On
but
Spotify it says spirit. It's The Spirit of Radio.
check.
Wait, it's probably mirrored for you.
Oh, the Spirit of Radio.
Yeah.
Okay. And on Spotify, yep, the Spirit of Radio. I've just been inserting a the
It's
without
like
even
a
thinking about it.
it's like a Mandela effect thing,
Yeah.
I think.
Wow.
Um
Okay. Well, I guess I'll change it in this one.
not that it actually matters, but same fucking thing. Um yeah, I mean like God, Prime Mover's really good. That's from Hold Your Fire, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, it's really good. It's one of the best songs off of Hold Your Fire. But yeah, I mean, this is the round. This is the later. We're getting into the late rounds here, and the Spirit of Radio is one of my favorite Rush songs ever. I think it encapsulates everything like about Rush that you need to know. It's weird, it's interesting. Um, it's everything you could want out of a Rush song. Um, so I don't know. It's my pick. It's my pick over
Yeah.
Prime Mover. Prime Mover
No,
is one of my favorite Rush songs.
I think we
But
we have to go forward with this. And I have some more thoughts on it that I'll probably get into in the later rounds, but I do want to give a shout out to Prime Mover as well. It's probably one of my favorite bass lines of any Rush song.
mm,
Um, when in the chorus when he's like doo-doo-doo, 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 doo-doo, like in
yeah,
the background. I also really like the lyrics. I feel like there's a lot of Rush songs where it's just kind of like picking like a word or a topic and like riffing on it. And this one's all about like the point of whatever to the point of this. And I feel like it does it very well. It's very clever and it's still poignant and like it's not like going too far into like being overly clever, but it does it kind of effortlessly. So really big fan of the lyrics on this song. Um, and yeah, I feel like in kind of like the 80s and 90s, they had a lot of more like kind of reflective songs on life. And I don't think they could have
yeah,
done that earlier in their career. Like at
yeah.
least I don't really hear it in most of their songs. So I feel like just like a little bit more life experience leads to a lot of my favorite song topics later. I feel like this is a really good example of that. But again, it doesn't beat out the spirit of radio.
Yeah.
It's,
That's a good point you bring up that like they were singing about all kinds of stuff earlier, but like yeah, those kind of late mid to late 80s onwards get like really introspective,
yes, yeah,
which yeah, like all those songs on Hold Your Fire, a lot of those songs kind of have that theme, which is cool. That's one of the awesome things about Rush and their catalog and going through is like there's bits of you get to see like these people's lives kind of play out like through their music. It's really very cool.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, Spirit of Radio moves on.
indeed. Okay, next we have Caravan versus 2112. Um, I mean, should we just do a bit of a eulogy for Caravan? I don't know. Like,
Well, is that
unless
is
you,
that how you feel? Do you think 2112? I mean, it is a juggernaut, right?
yeah. I
Uh,
just, I don't think, I think you can knock out 2112, but I don't think Caravan has quite the gravitas to do that, in my
mm-hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like Caravan's another like really solid intro song, introduces the album really well, um, and like has great riffs, good chorus,
Horse
but
is so damn cool.
it's kind of setting up the rest of the album, in a really solid way. But 2112 is an album. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
even need its back half. Like they could have just released this song, and it's also like the most important song in their career by far, I would say. I don't think anything they wouldn't have been a band anymore if this hadn't been if they
Yeah.
hadn't gone all the way in doing this and it hadn't been successful. And yeah, I I think there are parts of it that they honed a little bit more later on with some of their other songs and epics and things, but it's still really solid. All the parts are good. I feel like when I was younger, I was more into like the kind of rockier parts, but I definitely find myself gravitating towards like the kind of like acoustic parts, like the discovery and like kind of like where he's like discovering the electric guitar and everything.
Yeah. So
And yeah,
I I put a note about that. Like listening to it through, in the past couple days to get ready for this, I'm such an idiot. I just listened to the songs and I'm like, I don't really know where my head's at, but like I put it together this time that it's someone discovering. It's called fucking Discovery, but like the tuning and then they play it. I was like, I just didn't pay enough attention to the lyrics, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh wait a second, this is someone discovering a guitar. Like
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
I I honestly I don't know if I would have put that together, but my dad had like the 40th anniversary edition of it on vinyl, and so I
Mm.
like looked at it and it had like a little bit of like backstory about each section, and there's like more, it's not just the lyrics, there's like additional content
Oh,
that goes
nice.
along with it, from I think the original sleeve or whatever, but it was like added a little bit of context. So I was like, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. It's a guitar. I also think that's the most like 70s prog rock thing you could definitely ever do, is make like a epic concept song about someone saving the world with their guitar playing. I
Yeah,
feel like there's actually like more than one album that is about that. Like so it's funny, but
yeah.
yeah.
I think 2112 has had just such a like cultural impact too. Like it's one of those like, I don't know. I think it's got the cult following, but I think it's also, I don't know. There's a lot of like references to 2112. I think like later on and like like the Tenacious D Pick a Destiny, like that opening song. That's totally inspired by 2112, and like I think there's tons of other any like rock opera, whether
Yeah.
it's
I feel
comedy or
like
whether it's serious. I mean
yeah.
it's like 2112 kind of has its hand in like all those types of things. So
Yeah,
but
I would say it's Rush and the Who that really like are the big early players in that for sure.
yeah,
And maybe like Yes as well, but
definitely.
2112, it's also such an easy like reference to make. Like I feel like anyone that's a Rush fan on any like TV show or anything is gonna put 2112 somewhere on the set or in the background or something. Like you'll see it all the time where
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, the clock says 2112, or like they have 2112 as their license plate, just like things like that where
yeah,
they'll like slip it in. So yeah.
yeah. It's like the reference.
Yeah.
um so yeah, it's tough to like kind of dethrone that. um but also two album openers again,
Yeah.
uh
Oh, a
which
lot of
is
Spirit of the Radio is also an opener.
I think they're just like, hey, look, this is our best song. Let's just put it at the front. So when people put on the
I think
record,
so.
like,
I really don't think they think about sequencing at all. Like I'm listening to their albums, I'm like, I think they just like try to go best first and just
best to worst.
I honestly, because like a lot of their albums, I hate to say it, but like kind of peter out. It's not
Yeah.
always, but like I'm like, oh wow, like this first half is so good, and then sometimes I feel like they just kind of throw stuff on the back half, which is still good. And but it's usually kind of like more experimental, and which is like I guess that's a normal thing to do, but I don't feel like it's very often where they're like trying to close with like a really strong statement. They're just kind of
Mm,
like, and here's the last song. Like
yeah.
yeah, it's not so often that they're like thinking about, leaving an impression at the end of the album, which, a lot of artists don't do, so it's not unique to them. But yeah, their openers are usually pretty strong.
Yeah. I think there's a statistically significant album opener bias.
Yeah.
Not bias,
I'm
but just like
yeah,
like
I'm gonna do the math. Like I will do
yeah.
the math and figure it out once we finish this. So
Yeah,
I'll give
definitely
you my
interested.
report.
Definitely interested to
Um
see.
yeah, so our fourth division here, here were our play-in tournament. I don't think any of them made it very far. Here's our round of 132, 64, and now we have Closer to the Heart versus Dreamline.
Um yeah, I think Dreamline's cool. I think yeah, it's closer to the heart for me. It's such a good song.
Yeah.
I think I think in the last episode we weren't like, well, when I was editing it, I think I thought like, wow, we didn't sound super high on that song. So I do want to say like, I, this is like one of the best Rush songs easily. It's
Yeah.
it's so fun. It makes you feel warm and fuzzy. You know, it's just a fun time. I think Dreamline has kind of similar vibes, but yeah, I don't know. Close to the Heart just it takes it for me. I don't know if you have anything more on that.
Yeah, I think Closer to the Heart is obviously like really good. I think it just as like Rush fans, it suffers from the fact that it's so short. I mean, it's like a normal song length,
Yeah,
which is short for a Rush song. So it's like, oh, it's over. Like, whereas other songs, it's like, okay, we're gonna get like an extra like twist on top of this. Um, but it's a really solid song. And it's yeah, just it's quick, makes you feel good. It's like the definition of short and sweet. Um, Dreamline, I like the horns a lot. Um, I feel like the lyrical subject of like dreams and everything deserved like a more imaginative like musical palette behind it, if that
hmm
makes sense. Like I feel like Dreamline deserves something along the lines of like Spirit of the Radio. Like I feel like I feel like the song itself doesn't match up to what I would expect like a Rush dream sequence to sound like, if that makes sense. It's still like a solid song, but I can't help but wonder like could this song have been more? Like could it have been
sure.
like crazier? Um just because I think the lyrical content kind of lends to like almost an overindulgence that I feel like they weren't really doing at this time in
hmm
their career. But I think I would have enjoyed it. So, um, but yeah, definitely solid. But I honestly think it got further than it necessarily merited just because of matchups.
I think we're getting to a part of the bracket where, yes, some of these had a easier route to the top
Yeah,
32 than some other ones. But yeah.
yeah. I will say there's no matchup in this round where I was like, I don't really love either of these. Like it was like the songs that I don't really love are going against songs that I love, and it's easy for me to kill them off.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely had matchups where I'm like, I love both of these, and this is hard. But I feel like even last round of 64, there were a couple of matchups where I was like, I like both of these songs, but I don't love either of them. And so we're done with that for sure.
Yeah. All
Speaking
right.
of songs I love both of them, we have Headlong Flight versus Time Stands Still. Very, very different songs. Um,
Super different.
yeah,
Yeah.
about as different as you can get for Rush songs, I think. I like this is like all this is like grunge, almost metal Rush for like a 9 minute sludgy epic. And then this is like 80s, almost like singer songwriter, like yeah, it's yeah, very, very, very different. Two really good songs, which shows why Rush is so great. But it was tough. I would like to hear your thoughts, and then I'll see if we agree.
I mean, the tough thing is that I don't have too many thoughts. Like for me, it's Time Stand Still. That song is just I don't know. It left a huge imprint on me, more so than any of the Hold Your Fire songs, as much as pretty much any Rush song. And yeah, I don't know. I spent a long time like learning how to play it, and um I don't know. I have so much more of a personal attachment to that song than I do for Headlong Flight, so it's just kind of an unfair fight for me. But yeah, Headlong Flight is such a good song. It rocks. It really does. And I'm glad that we got some Clockwork Angels representation this far down because I think it's very worthy. I think there were some Clockwork Angel songs that like the matchups weren't as favorable, so they didn't get as far. That I like equally as much. But yeah, I mean it's just a tough matchup. I mean, Time Stand Still's I'm looking ahead to the next round, and I truly don't know what I think. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if you have a pick.
No, yeah, I also picked Time Stand Still,
Yeah.
and I think that means it's the right choice because I do have like a more personal connection with Headlong Flight. Like I remember listening to it for the first time, and like it was almost like my reintro. It was like part of my introduction into Rush, and I was like really into like rock and punk at the time and metal, and so I was like, wow, like this is they're going for it here, and kind of bridged me into their other music. So yeah, but yeah, Time Stand Still is just it's so good, so it wins. Um, I have some notes on Headlong Flight before we let it go.
Hmm.
Um, I said if YYZ is a song for drummers to know that they've mastered their craft, uh, Headlong Flight is a song for bass players because it is the bass licks on this are crazy and they're fast and they are like I just like listen to the song and only listen to the bass and it's like I don't know how you do that with your fingers. Like it's crazy what Geddy Lee's doing on this song. But yeah, I like the sound of it, but it does not beat Time Stand Still. So I think we agree.
All right.
Okay. So second half here we got metal. Our play-in tournament had a couple songs here. One that I do want to shout out is oh no. So yeah, a couple of these made it like to the round of 64, but um this is what we're left with here. Our first matchup is Working Man versus Jacob's Ladder. Um and I did some research because I was like, what is Jacob's Ladder about?
Mm.
Turns out it's literally about a Jacob's Ladder, which is like a phenomenon where sun is like streaming through clouds. I always called it godlight. So like you know what it is, right? Where you
Yeah,
looking at the
yeah,
clouds and you have like the sun hitting from behind, and it kind of leads to this like majestic column of sun.
yeah.
And yeah, the song is literally just about that phenomenon. And it sounds like they were in this era, they were just kind of like picking kind of like imagery and then building a song like backwards from that. So it wasn't the lyrics kind of came after they like made the music to um kind of display that kind of evoke that imagery and how they thought about it. And so it's kind of like this epic, like a little bit awesome and like the literal sense of like you feel kind of a mix of like amazement and terror just because it's this like big atmospheric event that you're seeing and kind of religious connotations to it. But
Hmm.
it's also like beautiful and inspiring. And so I thought that was really interesting. I feel like they go to so many interesting places with what they get their inspiration from.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like a fun little research uh project into what this song was about. And you know, I kind of went into it just trying to look up the some stuff about the instrumentation, which is also really interested. And there's um, some interesting kind of time signatures going on here. But yeah, that's my little research project. Let me see. Oh, I have one other note, which is the drum part in the last section of the song, which is it's actually pretty slow, but all of his like drum hits are like not like on the main beat and they're just kind of like all over the place and each individual hit is like pretty easy. Like I could probably do each individual hit, but like bringing them all together and having each of his like limbs doing that, I mean like that's what makes drumming hard. But it just like it's very impressive uh to listen to. I'm like, wow, that's crazy that he's doing that. And um it kind of reminded me of Nirvana actually. This is a really long
Interesting.
tangent, but because Kurt Cobain, like his guitar playing is not that difficult, but when you play the guitar parts for Nirvana with and you sing at the same time, it's very difficult because they're not matching up together. They're the singing and the guitars on very different beats. And that's basically what Neil Peart is doing, except with all four limbs. And it's very like I was listening to it and I was like, wait a minute, like if his left hand's doing that and his right, like it's just like it was a little. I feel like I actually kind of paid attention to it more than I have in the past. So, yeah, that's my very long tangent about Jacob's Ladder. That being said, I don't really know where I stand between these two because I think they're both very solid. Be interested to hear your thoughts, but I definitely dove down a research hole there.
Yeah, I feel like that's really interesting because like I feel like with Jacob's Ladder, there's so much more to uncover. Um, Whether it's all the time signatures that are happening, all the parts to learn, and like it goes so many different places, and like what are the meanings of the lyrics versus Working Man. I feel like the lyrics are a little bit more surface level. Um, the music is a little bit more just like this is like a pentatonic, like rock riff, but it compared to their other songs on that opening album, it really is a more sophisticated, kind of complicated song by comparison. Um and that
Yeah,
that does make it tough. Like there is so much to appreciate about Jacob's Ladder, and that is one of the ones that and I talked about this last time, but there was a time, it is not anymore, but I could sit down and like play along with it. And it was really hard. It took like multiple lessons, and like you literally just have to count in your head like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
um so yeah, it's so fun. It's one of the most fun Rush songs to learn. Um, but just something about Working Man might take it for me, just because like, um, it's it just kind of it's amazing that among all those other songs, they still had it in them. There was that shred of like, this is Rush at its core, and they just had that all throughout their whole career. And even on their first album, that people can criticize for this, that, or the other. It sounds like dollar store Led Zeppelin, whatever. At times, I say that jokingly. I don't fully believe that, but there's some truth to that. But I don't know. Working Man, it's still such a freaking cool song. Like it really
yeah.
is.
And anytime you're accusing someone of copying Led Zeppelin, you have to remember that they copied like everything they did. And what made
Yes.
Led Zeppelin good is that they had really good songs, and Working Man is a really good song.
Yes.
And
That's an
that,
excellent
like,
point.
yeah, that makes it kind of, it's just good. It's a good song. And yeah, I think almost like the more you know about music and maybe even the more you know about Jacob's Ladder, the more likely you are to pick that. And maybe the more that you just like enjoy music and like listening to it, you're more likely to pick Working Man. So it's kind of like, what do we value here? Um, I
It's all
I do think the importance of Working Man might weigh in its favor a little bit
yeah,
more, just because like in their catalog it is a very important song. It's their first song on the radio. Definitely like got them started. um you know Showed that they had a lot of potential and still stands up today. And I still hear it on the radio, like on alternative rock stations. Like
yeah,
I've heard Working Man in the last 5 years whenever I've listened to
totally.
radio, which is not that often. Um but it's just, yeah, stood the test of time, and it just sounds good still. But there's a lot of depth to Jacob's Ladder, which I like, but I feel like it almost is, it's meant to be a deep cut, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's for the real ones. It's for the real ones. But it's Yeah, it might have to be Working Man for me.
Yeah,
I think they both, it's funny because I think they both can serve that role of like, okay, I get in my car. What's the first thing I put on after work? Like you could crank Jacob's Ladder, and that could kind of do it too. That could do the trick too, for
I
sure.
would. Yeah, I would probably. I feel like that would inspire me to like do something on the road. I don't know, like
Yeah.
it's like I'm like this is building to something. Like I better like crash into someone or someone soon because I'm hearing Heaven's Gates. So whatever. Yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
I think this is probably the right choice.
Yeah.
Um, next one is Entre Nous versus La Villa Strangiato. Um, I mean, Entre Nous, I feel like I kind of push it even further than you maybe thought it would go already because I personally like this song a lot. And I like that it's in French. I think it's got a cute chorus. Um, I think I like the lyrical topic a lot about like, you know, we can't ever really know each other fully, but like the differences between us make make life interesting and like give us room to grow, which is I think a very beautiful sentiment. But like its time is over because La Villa Strangiato is here.
Yeah.
So
I
I
feel the
think
same
it's
way.
a no-brainer. But I'd be
This
interested to hear your thoughts.
I've listened to Permanent Wave so many times. So when I was listening to this playlist, and every time I got a little bit bummed when like the song I was expecting didn't like come on. But then I was stoked because then, I like that next song too. But then after Jacob's Ladder and then Entre Nous came in, I was like, wait a second. And then I went and looked it up and I was like, yeah, these are back to back on the album. Hell yeah.
There you
So
go.
that was fun. Yeah, La Villa Strangiato. Okay, so I wish I had looked this up a little more. Um, I believe it is either something to do with a dream, like it came to Alex Lifeson in a dream, or like some crazy trip or something. Like it has some fun backstory about what inspired it. Um, it has also possibly one of the best solos. It's right up there with Limelight. It's like neck and neck. Um, I mean, it's just oozing with riffs and like just these awesome musical moments. Um, and yeah, it's just it's a freaking awesome song. I love it so much.
Okay, so I didn't find out like what the background is, but I did find out that it has sections on in like the album. It
Hmm.
has 12 parts, which
Oh
I think you
wow.
could probably pick out as you're listening. The parts are Buenos noches, mein Freunds, To Sleep, Perchance to Dream, Strangiato Theme, A Lurkst in Wonderland, Monsters, The Ghost of Aragon, Danforth and Pape, The Waltz of the Shreves, Never Turn Your Back on a Monster, Monsters Reprise, Strangiato Theme Reprise, and A Farewell to Things. It's just there's just such nerds.
um yeah, so
Yeah,
I think it is about a dream. I think
yeah,
it's like it came to him in a dream or something, and I don't know. It's really cool. It's freaking awesome.
yeah. It's great. Okay, we can talk more about it. Next round is grunge. We have our kind of playing tournament. One of these songs has gotten very far. The Wreckers is all the way to our round of 32, and our matchup is against Fly By Night. And my name's Kyle Gracer, and I'm here to argue with you that the Wreckers should beat Fly By Night. And that might be very controversial, but
I'm
I
glad
really
I'm
I
glad we
really
have an
like the
upset.
Wreckers. Yeah.
I think I am more just kind of down the middle than maybe you were expecting because my note was like, this is a tough call. The Wreckers is catchy. It is arguably a better song. Like you could argue that, and you know what? I think that if you asked the members of Rush which song is better, they might say that the Wreckers is better. You know, they'd probably, I think they definitely would say the Wreckers reflects them more, or whatever. Fly By Night is a, I mean, it's definitely an iconic, it's definitely an essential Rush song, but I'm definitely like sympathetic to the view that like the Wreckers is kind of more like refined. They kind of found their groove a little bit more, and if you flipped it and Fly By Night came out in 2012 and the Wreckers was like earlier, like all the Clockwork Angel songs are like going up. They're standing on the shoulders of giants, kind of in some ways, and not to say that they're not like deserving in their own right of recognition, but it's tough because they're the later songs. It's like, oh, this is their new stuff. It's always going to be kind of looked at with that lens, so it's really hard to remove that. But if you try to, I think you could definitely argue that like the Records is like got more going on than Fly By Night.
Yeah,
So
because
I don't know. I don't know. At the end of the day, oh, it's
the,
tough.
the violins are so good on this song. Like it's not even just the chorus, but like the bridge violins. If you listen to it, like there's like a dissonance to them that's like crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, the lyrics, like, have you paid attention to the lyrics?
In general, I don't pay that much
It's
attention to
yeah.
lyrics.
So I need to look more into this, but from what I have it's about like a ship coming to shore and like everyone on the ship is like rejoicing because they've been like at sea lost and they're like we've finally seen land and they're like yes, like finally a safe harbor. And when they are getting there, everyone on the island is rejoicing because a ship is there to take them away from the island
Oh
and whatever. Like,
shit.
I don't know if that's actually like that's what I just got from my like cursory listen of the lyrics, but like
Yeah.
I think that's such like a dark but like uh delicious topic for a song.
Ooh.
And I'm like I it's just it's a really good song. And I remember when like I was on like the Rush subreddit when this came out, when the album came out, Clockwork
Mm.
Angels, and people are like, you have to listen to the records. It's like the best Rush song in decades. Like you have to like they were really into the records and the garden, if I recall.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I guess this is really good. And um my final argument is I think 10 other bands making music at about the same time as Rush made Fly By Night could have been given this song and could have recorded it, and it would have been pretty much the same. I don't even think early Rush could have made the records. I think it was like a late Rush gem that they could only make at that time in their career.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would have worked with a different band. And I don't think it would have worked with a band that hadn't gone through everything that Rush had been through to that point. And I just feel like it's a very triumphant song. And that's why I love Clockwork Angels, because I feel like it's just like this is our last album, but like we still have it. Like it's just like they were still like doing unique things at the
Yeah.
end of their career. So
Totally.
as a band. So
Look, I'm not gonna not only am I not gonna fight you on this, I think I'm going to agree with you.
yeah.
You make a lot of good points, and yeah, like like this on the surface, it looks like an upset, but like go back and listen to the songs, and really think about it critically, and I think that Fly By Night is being carried by its just it's on every Rush top hits playlist. It's like
Mhm.
it's definitely an essential Rush song. It's one of their earlier songs, so it's just had so much time to kind of but if you try to take that away and look at it just a little bit more I don't know, I hate to say objectively because that's kind of impossible to really do, but like yeah, the records is very very worthy on its own merit just as a song. And yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you know, there's definitely a bias to like earlier stuff, I think, just in general, like with an artist's discography. But like, yeah, I think like everything, like what you said with Clockwork Angels, like the album couldn't have been possible without them experiencing everything that they did. And that that that's um that's definitely worth considering when thinking about these matchups and stuff and where we want to move these songs. So I'm totally happy with this. It's an upset for sure. I think you can't deny this is an upset,
Yeah,
but
no, it's
I'm
an
cool with it.
upset. It's an upset for sure, but it's one I'm like I don't feel like I'm just making it because I want to be contrarian. Like I truly believe it's the
Yeah.
better song. So yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is the Camera Eye versus A Passage to Bangkok. Um, and yeah, I can go first. I think for me, the Camera Eye is just it's more like fleshed out of a song. It's more like I would say perfected. I think A Passage to Bangkok has like really good riffs and catchy chorus, but I think we talked about it. It's kind of just like um the best of the B-sides to 2112. Whereas I feel like the Camera Eye is a little bit more special. I feel like it's not necessarily the most like celebrated Rush song, especially off of Moving Pictures,
Definitely
but I
not.
think there's a certain um like confidence to it. We talked about this last time. It's their last 10-minute plus song. It's effortless in what they did. It just I feel like it was just kind of like, yeah, we've mastered this craft. Like we have mastered the 10-minute epic. Here it
Yeah.
is. This is a perfect 10-minute song. Like there's not a note out of place. And now we're gonna stop doing it because we want to do other things. Like so there's a certain amount
Yeah.
of quality to it where I feel like they're just kind of like it's not as like crazy and experimental as some of the earlier ones. It doesn't have as like weird of stuff, but it's just like, here you go. This is the like we figured this out. We figured out how to do this, and now we're gonna do weird stuff with synths. Thank you.
That is such a funny way to put it. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Pastor to Bangkok slaps. Like it's got parts that slap. Like
Mhm.
it's fun one to like pick it up and like play that the riff, but like,
Yeah,
it's just the Camera Eye is really fucking good. It is dare I say underrated.
it is
Um
underrated.
I think it is underrated. So is the Wreckers. So we're gonna have a tough time next
Yeah.
round, but we can
No,
get
this
there.
is probably the most like the spiciest division, I would say.
Yeah, this division's a bloodbath. Um, yeah. All right.
Okay. Yeah, we gotta keep it moving. Okay. I already mentioned this once talking about another song, but we got YYZ and then we have the Twilight Zone. We also have a guest feature here. Stella? No? Okay. My cat may hit the mic a couple times. You can just see her head.
It's funny because it's so dark and your cat is so dark that like I can
Yeah.
kind of see like the eyes, but like
Yeah, she's like in the corner. Yeah, you can kind of see her head. She's probably gonna okay. It's gone. But yeah, anyway, YYZ versus the Twilight Zone. What are your thoughts?
um Twilight Zone is one of those that like it's one of those B-sides that surprised me. Something I noticed on my listen, now we're at the point where like I was listening to all these like earlier today, so they're very fresh. The part like there's like an overdub of like whispering. It's like
Yeah,
it's so like spooky and cool. Like really cool. Really, really cool song. Um I love the sound of like the acoustic guitars. It's a cool riff. But yeah, I'm basically talking about it a lot right now because YYZ is my pick. Like
yeah,
YYZ for the Canadians out there. yeah, I mean, it's like fun. Like they're having fun. They're in their bag, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I was listening to it today and I was like, this would be a good like dance song. Like if someone did like a really impressive dance performance to YYZ and they like hit a move every time they like switch the groove up, like
oh,
that'd be like because they go back and forth between like very like staccato stuff and like really like smooth. So I was like, this is like kind of want to dance to this, but like in a really disjointed way at parts. But yeah, it's just a fun song. It has they have an ability to add so much character to an instrumental that I feel like not a lot of bands can do.
yeah.
It's hard to hold the American public's uh, attention with just an instrumental. That's just the way it is. But Rush can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with these
Canadian public, sorry.
with these with these instrumentals that like have made it to this round. It's like they don't feel like a slog at all to listen to. Like you're listening and you're just like you like I could just eat these up like all day. Like
Yeah,
they're so interesting. There's so much to grab onto, and like YYZ has like just some fun moments, you know? Like
yeah,
it doesn't take itself like too seriously. Um it's just fun and catchy and interesting, and it's everything you could want. So yeah,
yeah.
it's a juggernaut.
It's great. It's a juggernaut. Another juggernaut. We got Roll the Bones versus the Trees, which I think we're
Yeah.
both big fans of. But,
Yeah.
um,
I think Roll the Bones had a run. I can't believe we picked it over Force 10. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can. Force 10's great. Sometimes I put that one on just to um yeah, I think its run might end here because the trees is so cool.
yeah,
One
yeah.
of their
This is one
more
of those where I was just like, "Yep, this song is out of its league at this point. Like, it's good, but it's going against these really, you know, top top tier Rush songs."
I think I think the thing with the trees is like I've told you about I've talked about other Rush songs saying like, oh, you just show this to someone and they'd be like, okay, yeah, this is sick. You know, the trees is one of those where it's like, hold on, trust me. You know, because I think people reference it as like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those like, oh yeah,
It's
that's like
just
that
it's
super nerdy
so
band. Like,
yeah,
it
but it's so good. And
is. I love it.
the the guitar like riff after the solo where it's like like that's like one of my favorite moments in any song by any band. Like it's just it
Yeah.
comes at you. It's just comes like coming all over like all over you. So it's just
I
so
think
good.
I think it's one of the my go-tos if I just like pick up my guitar in my living room, like I'll sing like Spirit of Radio and I'll do like the chorus of the trees and like the trouble with the maples and the quite convinced they're right. Like I'll just, you know, let it
Yeah.
rip. That's just one of
No,
the funnest ones to
I
play.
scream
So
it in my car. Like I just yeah,
yeah.
it's so much fun. It's just fun.
um
It's so weird. Uh
do you,
like yeah,
I
it's good.
think the you know we can kind of pick and maybe we can do this later like go into like the meaning of the lyrics and you know I think they were definitely in their like Ayn Rand kind of phase with
Yeah,
that.
no, it's there's 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 certain Rush songs where I'm like, I know what this is about. I really like it. There's certain Rush songs where I was like, I don't want to know what this is about because I
Yeah.
think it's leaning towards like libertarian, like yeah. I know that there's a certain background there where I'm just like, I don't really want to know what he thought about this stuff at this time in his life, and I'm just gonna keep talking about trees. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is one of those where yeah, I'm kind of like look, I'm just gonna sing about trees and like be, you know, I'm not gonna try to think too much about it. But you know, maybe that can come into play, you know, when we're talking about
yeah,
matchups and
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
you know, it's worth mentioning. But for
it
now,
is.
like, I mean, it is it's an iconic Rush song. Yeah, not much else to say, but
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Okay, last section here. Here were our playing tournament, and one of them, yeah, a lot of the like Hold Your Fire songs had like very few listens, but made it pretty far for us. So
Yeah,
I think we like those more than the average Rush listener, I think. But
yeah.
so we have Free Will versus Emotion Detector. Um, and yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards one of these, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. I could be convinced either way. I could if you threw like a similar like records argument at me, I could be sympathetic to it. I wrote upset watch in my notes. Um,
Oh,
is I am high on these Power Windows songs. I think they're so great. Um, but I think the tough thing is that like I don't think a single Power Windows song. So this is why if we do the album bracket, that would be interesting because I think Power Windows as a whole work I would put up against anything, but just like the how essential Free Will is as a Rush song, I just don't think you can topple that. I don't really know. But what do you think?
yeah, I think Free Will is wins for me here.
Yeah,
I it just it's very catchy. Um, I think the time signatures are fun. I feel like it's crazy that some of their songs with the most changes in time signature are the catchiest because I feel like they kind of almost challenge themselves to do that.
yeah,
And it's just like a really good song. Like there's a reason it's like their one of their top listened songs.
yeah.
And I would say that it might lose against some of the more ambitious Rush songs, but I think these two going against each other, they're both kind of fairly straightforward in their song structure, and you know, are both have like very solid choruses, kind of being their highlights. Uh, for the most part, and I just think Free Will's a little bit stronger. So I would still pick it, but I think it's close. And I think if you caught me on the right day, I might say otherwise.
Yeah, I think one thing I kind of wrote was a motion detector has possibly some of the most like memorable synth and guitar melodies, at least on Power Windows.
Mhm.
Because man, it's catchy. Like this is the one that's like ding 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 ding
Bing,
ding
bing.
ding. Oh, it's so
Yeah,
cool. Oh, it's
no,
so good.
I know that too.
Um,
And
it's
the like da, 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 like
yeah.
yeah, it's good. The more you talk, the more I'm gonna sway the other way.
That's what I'm saying. Because that's the thing. It's like free will is so essential, and like these Power Window songs, when you listen to, they kind of blend together. I don't think any one song kind of got the chance to like really get a ton of maybe radio play or like latch on in that way. Um, but man, when you listen to them back to back, you're like, oh, like let's go, okay. Um,
Let's do it. Let's put it let's put
you
it
want
through.
to? I don't. I see. I was still kind of thinking like free will, just
Okay.
just just cause
I
just
don't
cause
know.
of just cause of I don't know. Yeah, fuck it. I don't know. Let's
Let's do it. Let's do it.
fuck it.
Um,
Upset
I
watch.
honestly like I I do think free will is not. I don't want to say. I do want. It's a little overrated. Like it's very good,
It's
but
really good.
but
It's really
uh,
good.
but
But
it. I
yes,
don't
it's a little
know. Emotion.
overrated.
It's. I was listening. I listened to them both today, and emotion detector did hit me harder. But I still. Yeah. I feel like that like bias of like how important it is, or like how well known it is, and it's just kind of like considered to be like a top Rush song. But I don't know. Motion detector. I had
People
more fun
sleep.
listening to it. It hit me harder. Like the chorus.
Yeah. People sleep on power windows.
They do. I think this is our platform to stand up and say Power Windows deserves respect.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
next matchup is Grand Designs versus Vital Signs, and I'm leaning towards Grand Designs. So
I can
could
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I think Vital Signs had its moment, you know.
yeah.
Um
And
and
yeah, go for it. Go for it. Sorry.
nah, I didn't really have much, but yeah, Grand Design's freaking rocks too. I mean, I think it's neck and neck with Emotion Detector. They're gonna cannibalize each other, but I think both of them are worthy of like top 16
Yeah.
in their own right. Um so yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every time I listen to Grand Designs, I'm like, yeah, this is really good. I feel like I remember liking it more though. And then the outro hits, and I'm like, oh yeah, this has the best outro of like any Rush song, where
Yeah.
he's just like, whoa. I
Yeah.
can't do it. I can't. Um,
I'm gonna do a
and
compilation of us going doo doo doo
do
like
with and I think I might ruin Vital Signs for you, but I think it has the worst outro of any Rush song because for some
wow.
reason, Geddy Lee is singing with a lisp at the end. Like he's he's saying like, oh, what are the lyrics at the end?
He's like everybody need a not filter.
No, he's saying
Da-da-da-da.
everybody trying to deviate from the no, but he's saying like everybody trying to deviate, like he's not pronouncing the consonants. And even as a kid, it pissed me off. And like I feel like you probably don't notice this, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but once you hear it, like it's hard to unhear because he's like, everybody trying to elevate, like trying to say elevate, but he says elevate from the norm, and it bothers me so much. And it's a really good song, so I could move past it, and things like
Look,
that
we're
don't really bother me, but it is a reason to pick against it, in my opinion.
when we're this late in the bracket, it's things like that that need to come up, you
No,
know?
I
Like
that and I didn't mention it up until this point because I feel like the song is so strong that it's made it here. But Grand Designs, I end that song and I'm like, wow, what an outro.
yeah.
And Vital Signs, I'm like, oh, Getty, why did you do that? Like, why did you have to sing it like that? Um,
That's
so
funny because it does it I don't think I'll listen for it. Maybe it'll ruin it for me now. But this is totally unrelated, but in just in terms of like me noticing something about a song and then it instantly ruining the song for me, um in Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you can hear every single time that Anthony Kiedis breathes in. He's like, "Can't stop addicted to the din din." Like the whole song. And I never like was you're never like aware of it, but then I became like aware of it and then it like ruined it for me. So listen for
yeah,
that next time you listen to it and
I
you know
will. I will say I honestly like that kind of thing doesn't ultimately ruin songs for me, but it's like a little bit like, why they
it
do this? Yeah.
well, no, it just became like all I could listen. It just was
Yeah.
distracting once I like noticed it, and then now it's the only thing I can think about. And it's not even that it's like grading or bad or whatever. It's how people
Yeah.
sing. You have to
You're just
breathe when you sing.
fixating on it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like it's like when you need to check your smoke alarm in your house and the thing beeps. You know, it's just like
There's a song, I think it's a Caroline Polachek song, and she has a literal smoke detector in the background, like beeping. I'm like, why would you do that? Like that's so
have you seen the
unnecessary.
have you seen the Nathan for You episode?
No,
About that. Oh my
no.
God. You have it. Oh, Kyle, you have to watch that. Um, it's like his scheme is that like he wants to there's like a discount on like importing something if it's like an instrument or something. So he went to like some like smoke detector business and he was like, if you can prove that this is a musical instrument, you can like not have to pay as much or whatever.
Well, you know who like actually plays it as an instrument, not even just like the noise in the background, is the B-52s. Like they
Really?
play it like beep 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 beep, like it's on like multiple
No
B-52
way.
songs.
Well, what he
Yeah,
does is he hires musicians and then he gets one and it's like there's an audition and then the like best guitar player, he's like, "All right, you're in the band." And then he's like, "You're playing the smoke detector." He's like, "What the fuck?" And then it sounds so horrible like on the song, but he's like I don't know, it's such a good show. I don't need to
yeah.
explain the whole episode, but yeah, got to watch that. Okay.
All right.
Um so I have a question.
Yes.
We've gone through we have it down to a top, it's the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up on like an hour and a half here.
We could stop here
I
and we
know we
could,
said we would go all the way through, but maybe like these songs deserve like a deep dive and
yeah,
like I kind of want to like look at all the lyrics, like
yeah,
see what speaks to me, read about them a little bit more. Maybe because we're gonna make some big cuts coming up.
yeah.
So I
I
think it
think
should,
that's fair. Yeah. And I think we
yeah.
should do Sweet 16 through the end. And I think we should also
Yeah.
do the albums bracket. So I want I you're going on like a trip, right?
Yeah, I'm going to Argentina for 10 days
Yeah.
and I'm leaving
So
on Friday.
so with that time, I might listen to Rush's entire discography and start thinking about the albums bracket too. So
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
like to have like complete thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that makes sense to stop here.
Like
And do
I
a
th-
3-part series.
I think we could like trudge through, but I think that I want to feel like maybe not like that I've made my mind up per se, but just like um I think these decisions are going to be very, very tough. And I want to feel confident.
Yeah,
Um, like I was learning about this song and I read something about it and this really stuck out to me. I think these songs kind of deserve a little bit more TLC, a little more attention because I think this is it. Like
yeah,
this is the cream has risen. Like these songs are all
yeah.
like,
You want to
you
just do
know,
like a quick overview of what's left, just so we
yeah.
see like how, yeah. So we've got Tom Sawyer, Xanadu,
Oh my God.
Limelight, Red Barchetta, The Spirit of Radio, 2112,
Oh no.
Closer to the Heart, Time Stands Still. Oh my God. Working Man, La Villa Strangiato, The Wreckers, The Camera Eye.
Very interesting one.
Yeah, that's the fun one, the grunge one. YYZ, The Trees, Emotion Detector, Grand Designs, which is
That's
our
crazy.
uh Power Windows matchup. But yeah, these are crazy. They deserve the time that they get. I feel like when we do this for other artists, might want to go quicker, but honestly,
Yeah.
just
And there's also fewer songs
the
with other
whole
artists.
point of this is to just spend a lot of time with an artist we really love, and I want to give them the time they deserve. And I
Yeah.
I also I also want to do research. I'm probably gonna make like a complicated numbering system to rank these on like mouthfeel and like everything. So yeah, I kind of want to go crazy with this, and I also want to get ready for our albums bracket too, because I've been thinking a lot about this while we're doing this, and I just I want to listen to their entire discography again. So
I think
yeah,
I kind of do too. I felt the same way. I was, and part of me felt kind of, going into this today, I was kind of like, well, this is gonna be it, and then that'll be my, this year I've spent a lot of time like diving into the discog, and I'm not ready for it to be over.
no,
Because once it'll be done, then it'll just be me listening to Rush on my own time, on my own whim, on what I happen to want to listen to. And I've liked having the structure and like having to think about
yeah.
things differently. Like that's been very fun. So, um, not quite ready for it to be over. And yeah, I think we'll yeah, let's do a part 3. And yeah, if you've come this far, like comment what your like bracket would be. Like what are your choices here? Like what would you do with what we have left? I'd be super curious to see if anyone um what other people think, or like what are the snubs or what are the upsets so far.
Yeah, I might even like post or like make a round of 16 bracket, or even I could even try and do round of 64, just using like a Madness template that's like a little easier for other people to look at and read through. But
Yeah.
and we could, if anyone else wanted to fill one out, that'd be kind of fun too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Or yeah, if you want to like make a copy of this and like people could just like edit it and fill. I don't know how
This
that would
is,
work,
yeah,
but
I think make just doing the 64 is probably easiest,
yeah,
for other people to follow along, because the spreadsheet is an
spreadsheet's a
organized
beast.
chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Well,
yeah.
yeah. Let's let it ruminate, and whenever the next time will be, maybe like a couple weeks from now, we'll you know, come come ready to go. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Um, Rush is great. It doesn't get old. I love listening to it. And I feel like this has been like a very um like special year to like spend this much time on it. And as much as I'm very excited to listen to Rush's entire discography again, I'm also really excited to do this with other artists that I feel like
Yeah.
I've been wanting to spend more time on. So I'm excited to do this. But I like that we're kind of going at our own pace and like giving them the time they deserve. So I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, this has been a blast. Cool. All right. Well, we'll call it a day, and we'll see you at the round of 16.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Andy and Kyky talking about